Trojan family? What's going on? Welcome back to the USC LAFB show here in the LAFB Network. I'm your host, Ryan Dyrud, back in the Dyrud Dojo, Downey parking structure, USC Trojans campus. Feels amazing to be back on campus. I will never take this for granted. It's just so awesome to be able to talk football with all of you guys, and I couldn't do it without all of you guys. So I truly do appreciate it. Let's keep this thing growing. Hit that like and subscribe button here at the USC LAFB YouTube channel. You can follow us on LAFBnetwork.com. We got our message board there. You can follow me on X at Ryan Dyrud LAFB, or anywhere you get your podcast. Just search USC LAFB. But today was USC's spring media day. It was all the assistant coaches. We got to talk to all of them and got some good tidbits from all of them. So basically spoke with everyone but Lincoln Riley. So got to talk to Gary Patterson, got to talk to Mike Eckler for the first time, got to talk to Skylar Jones, all of them. So I thought I'd just go through real quickly and kind of give a quick recap and analysis of all of those coaching interviews. All of the interviews will be up on the USC LAFB YouTube channel. So all of the defensive interviews are already up. You can watch all of those. I wanted to get this recap up before I leave campus and sit in LA traffic for 2 hours. So that's why this is going up now. And then all of the offensive interviews I'll put up tonight. Probably while I'm watching Miracle getting prepped for this USA Canada gold medal game at 5 a.m. on Sunday. I wasn't able to watch today's game because I was here at USC all day, but stoked USA won. So I'll be watching that tonight and putting all those offensive coaches videos up. But let's just jump into it. So Gary Patterson, I unfortunately missed his opening press conference. As many of you know, I was in Colorado for my sister's wedding. So I was able to watch it afterwards, but I was not in the building. So this was my first taste of Gary Patterson, if you will. And he's going to be a fun coach, I think, to cover. And, you know, I know you guys care much more about, hey, what does it mean on the field? But from my perspective, a guy's going to really kind of give you a lot in terms of things to digest that he's talking about. You can tell he has been a head coach for 20 plus seasons, just in the way he answers, his thought process, how methodical he is in some of the answers he gives. And he's very different than the previous DC, Danton Lynn. Not any knock on Danton Lynn, not saying one way is right or wrong, just different. Like Danton Lynn was very kind of to the point, kind of cut and dry, didn't give you anything in terms of talking scheme or players or anything like that. Like, didn't even really mention it half the time. It was really just almost coached speak, if you will. Just kind of, hey, what are you thinking of this? You know, we're going to put guys in the best position. I like his work ethic, just very PC answers, if you will. Gary Patterson has a way of kind of veering off the question to kind of, you know, give you the answer that he wants in a way. But what I love is he does kind of drop some schematic terminology in there. He talks kind of, you know, how he's going to use guys around on the field. And he hasn't gotten too much into talking about specific players just because obviously they haven't had any practices yet together. They've probably watched film together, and obviously the players are in the building with Coach True in the offseason program. But he hasn't got to that, but basically saying things like, you know, we're not going to drop the edges back as much as maybe the previous scheme did. So we're going to see guys like Cameron Crawford, guys like Braylon Shelby will have their most sack production of their time at USC. And a lot of that is just because of the scheme. And I think that was a big thing last year. A lot of people were like, man, we really thought, myself included, we're just waiting for guys like that to break out and kind of have that potential double-digit sack production. And, you know, we all kind of knew this, but didn't really talk about it. And I'll be honest, I didn't bring it up a ton either, is, you know, those guys did drop back in coverage more. They were, you know, used a lot more in kind of edge containment versus just getting after the quarterback. And, you know, what kind of Gary Patterson's talking about here is, you know, these guys are going to get paid to get after the quarterback. So we're going to put them in a position to get after the quarterback. So I think we'll see sack production from the edges kind of skyrocket this season, which if you're Crawford, if you're Shelby, and this is your last season in college, you're pretty excited about because you can inflate those numbers up and really raise your draft stock. So, you know, big takeaway there. I loved one of his one quotes. Was asked, you know, kind of about his blitz scheme. And he says, who's your best blitzer? The guy that's unblocked. Like, obviously, but, you know, he's going to build his scheme to free up guys so that they have numbers in the box. And when they are blitzing, you're utilizing that blitz. And I'm not saying this happened a lot with Dan Lynn, but just in general football terms, like how frustrating as a fan when you see your team blitz, but yet every guy gets picked up and then you get picked apart over the top because you're down one guy in in the secondary or whatever because you're sending an extra blitzer. So you got to utilize that blitzer to make sure you find the soft spot on the offensive line to really get after the quarterback. So I think Gary Patterson will be great at that. He's a total football guy. I think that's my biggest takeaway. Not saying any of the other guys aren't, but you can tell when guys are wired a little different. Like always just thinking in the lab, thinking football terminology, just love talking ball, get excited. So really fun getting to be able to be in the room with him for the first time. I'm really excited to cover him and kind of bring you guys more coverage about what he's going to bring to this defense. But the more and more days that go on, the more and more excited I am about this hire. And you think of someone like a Pete Kwiatkowski, and I'm never one to lay on anyone or talk any bad about anyone, but ends up taking a job as a defensive line coach for the Arizona Cardinals. Like there was clearly some disconnect there. And the initial thought was he was the slam dunk DC hire for USC. And you've seen now other teams pass on him, he end up as a position coach. And since Gary Patterson's gotten hired, I haven't heard a single soul in media, in the football industry, anywhere, maybe outside of like fans, but anyone that knows and connect anyone that doesn't say this is a home run hire. Like we'll have to see it play out. Obviously, not going to sit here and say, okay, now all of a sudden USC's defense is going to be top 5 next year because of this. That's the hope, but it certainly feels like it was a good hire, and I feel more strongly about that every day that goes on, especially after hearing him talk, in my opinion. So, Mike Eckler said before, this was one of the best hires of the offseason. Listening to him talk, you want to run through a wall. I mean, you can tell this guy is just an intense football dude. One of the takeaways I have is, asked about what drew him to USC, kind of outside of just USC. Obviously, USC is USC, and that's what you see the theme with all these coaches. If you watch all the interviews up on the USC LAFB channel, they all say like, this is USC. Like when asked like, why were you back? Why'd you come back? This is USC. There's no other place like it. There's a yada yada. So outside of that, one of the big things is last year at Nebraska, it was one of the first years, I think almost ever, he said, in his career where he was solely the special teams coach, didn't have any sort of linebacking coaching. He played linebacker and he kind of always had that either outside backers, inside backers on top of special teams. And last year was kind of the first year at Nebraska where he was solely the special teams coach. So when Lincoln Riley called and the prospect came of, hey, we need to build up the special teams, 1, 2, we want you to be our linebackers coach as well. He said that excited to be able to get back in that room and coach what he truly loves in linebackers, on top of obviously his passion for special teams. And Spot talked a ton about technique when it comes to special teams specifically. Coaching technique, coaching guys that they don't have to think. They know exactly where they need to be, whether it's kickoff, kick return, punt return, and things like that, blocking in the field goal unit. Not having guys think. You have the technique down, and you've got your job down, so you can just fly around, which is what you want on any of the 3 teams, offense, defense, and special teams. But he emphasized that. He had probably the couple quotes of the presser. One quote, Ray Charles can see the talent in that room, in referring to the linebacker room. I've said this to you guys a couple times. This staff is very bullish on this linebacking room talent. Now, got to develop that talent and get to the next level, but they are very high on Desmond Stevens, very high on Jaden Walker, very high on incoming freshman Talanoa Ely, Devin Bryant, who comes in as a transfer, Elijah Newby, Tamir Robinson, all these guys. The talent level that all of them talk about is they can see a true leap this year. And I've done breakdowns of, hey, going from year 2 to year 3, we've seen it across college football, specifically at the linebacking position. You can really see that jump. And while there were struggles this past season, those can all be eliminated with the correct development. And now year 3 within, the same program. So fired up about that. He's excited to get with these guys and really take them to the next level, and saying it's his job to make sure this is one of the best linebacking units in college football. But he said you'd be blind to not see the talent in the room. Now it's about going out and executing and putting it on film. And lastly, kind of just spoke really highly about Lincoln Riley. When asked about how there's this narrative that Lincoln Riley doesn't care about defense and this and that, and he basically, why would, obviously, when you're a colleague now of someone, you're going to speak highly, but just dispelled that and said, I think anyone thinks that needs their oil checked and doesn't really know what they're talking about in football, and also called him the greatest quarterback coach in football, not just college, NFL and college. Lincoln Riley is the greatest quarterback coach in all of football. And in order to win at any league, this is Mike Eckler saying this, but I agree with him, you got to have the quarterback. If you don't have a good quarterback, you got no shot. Now, you need more than just a quarterback to make it all the way to the promised land, but it's got to start off with the quarterback play. And when you have Lincoln Riley, you're always going to have top tier quarterback play. This is coming from Eckler. So he's fired up to be here, fired up to be back, we should say, after being here in 2013. And I think he's going to make a really big impact. Coach Sean Nua, couple just short tidbits with him. Obviously, he's been on staff for a while. I think he was a really good retention. He was fired up to be back with USC. Talked about it was always his goal to be here, but crazy months, December, January, with all the changes. He's talking about you got to get just stay focused on the now, where your feet are, and the rest will take care of itself. But his goal was always to be here with whoever the DC was, and so fired up to be back. He mentioned freshman Simota Katawanga, the elite, edge 3-tech from Santa Margarita. The plan is to start him at edge. Obviously, things can change. We'll see if they slide him more inside, but he is in Nua's room as kind of a true edge at this point going into spring practices, which will be starting here fairly soon, which we'll talk about more later. Yeah, that was kind of the big tidbit from him. I think, he's fired up. And obviously, as I've said before, with Skylar Jones, which I'll get to right now, with him being promoted to the defensive tackles role, Coach Nua is still the edges coach, but it definitely, they haven't given this title, but he certainly seems like he will be kind of overseeing the entirety of the defensive line as a whole, which he's done. He was the D-line coach before Henny got here, so it's not like he can't do that. So he'll kind of be the overseeing, with edges being really his room, and then obviously assisting Skylar Jones as he is kind of a new first-time position coach, at least at the Power 4 level. He was a D-line coach at Southern and some of the lower tiers of college football. But yeah, Nua's stoked to be back, and he'll be great as always. Skylar Jones was next, as I mentioned, your new defensive tackle coach. I thought it was really cool. He mentioned that when Lincoln Riley kind of brought him in and offered him the defensive tackle promotion, he cried. Like, he was just so thrilled and honored and privileged, and through all the work he's put in at being at those kind of lower schools, coming from an HBCU and just grinding his way through it, and now to have the opportunity at a school like USC to be a full-time position coach, specifically on the defensive line, said he was just overwhelmed and just feels so privileged and honored at the opportunity, and cannot wait to just uphold the tradition and to really kind of build upon the framework and the groundwork that's been laid and take it now to the next level. So he talked a lot about his relationship with Coach Henny. I didn't actually know this. They grew up like 2 blocks from each other in Louisiana, he said. So their relationship went deep, way back to growing up in the boot. And when Coach Henny was with the Rams, he brought him out to kind of mentor him for a little bit in 2018, I think he said. And then in 22, Henny was the real reason that he got an interview with Sean McVay and Raheem Morris for that assistant D-line coach, which he ultimately was hired for, and then was with Henny there. And then obviously ended up coming over here to USC when Henny got hired here at USC. So that was a big theme too. Everyone spoke very highly of Henny. Obviously, they're going to miss him. Happy for his opportunity, but you could see the camaraderie among the staff, which is always great. Now you kind of build it up a little bit more with some of the new guys. So he said, one of his quotes, "I'm a win today guy. What can we do to win today? Don't worry about tomorrow." So every coach has a different way of saying that. Focus on the now. Win each rep. We're 1-0. It's a 1-0 week. Whatever quote you want, but keeping your feet where your feet are and focus on getting better every single second instead of looking 2 months from now about the end goal, focusing on now. So that's his thing. And then it talked about when recruiting players, what he's looking for. He said, above all, is character. Number one thing they look for is character in guys, and will they fit within the character and the culture that they have built now at USC. Talked about position flex. We've talked this a lot about defense, and we talked about it mainly with Danton Lynn's scheme, but I think it still goes to show with Gary Patterson's scheme is being flexible. When I talked about recruiting specifically in 27, I talked about Marcus Fakatow and how, dude, you can line that guy up as a 0 tech, as a 3 tech, as a 5 tech, as a 9 tech, all the way outside. Those are the guys they're really going for, is that true, and I think all over the defense, but for sure on the defensive line, that true position flexibility. I just said, Coach Nua Samote Katawanga is going to be a true edge in his room. Doesn't mean on certain plays he's not going to slide inside, and maybe you have some sort of NASCAR package with him as a pass rusher from the inside, with a guy like Crawford outside of him. So a lot of opportunity there with both, and I think that's what Skylar Jones is referring to with that flexibility, looking at what guys can do in high school in the recruiting ranks. Heavy-handed guys, really, how strong are you at the point of attack? Are you pushing guys back? Are you kind of having to work through it and grind and spin out of it? Or are you just heavy-handed and you're moving guys back 2 yards right at the point of attack at the snap of the football? So that's a big thing they're looking for. And got to stop the run first. That's like a non-negotiable. But then after that, what are your pass rush tools? Can you do more than just bull rush? Can you do more than just speed rush? Can you do more than just the spin move? Do you have, a 3-tool set? That's kind of the long-winded answer, I guess, of what they're looking for when it comes to defensive line and specifically defensive tackle recruiting. All right, moving on. It's going to be a longer video. Sorry, rambling. But, we talked to 12 coaches today. Safeties coach Paul Gonzalez. Underrated pickup here. Tons of knowledge with Gary Patterson and a lot of coaching, 13 plus years coaching experience. So really experienced guy, knows Gary Patterson and the system well. He's originally from the West Coast. He said he was actually looking to become a teacher, went to school and got his kind of teacher's accreditation before getting an opportunity in college coaching. And obviously that worked out and he's never looked back, but he was thrilled to get back to the West Coast. Talked about the 3 reasons really why or what made him most excited about coming to USC. And he said one was getting back to the West Coast, being from here. That was a huge opportunity for him to get back out West. 2, opportunity to kind of rejoin Coach Gary Patterson. Obviously, there's an affinity there, a love there, a relationship that they've nurtured for a long time. So get to do it again at a place as special at USC. And then he mentioned Lincoln Riley. Said he coached against Lincoln Riley a bunch in the Big 12, and it was by far the hardest offense to game plan against. So now having the opportunity to be on his side and coach with him and kind of schematically, work through together, that I think was what really excited about him. And then the other big thing he talked about is physicality. He's obviously the secondaries coach, but he takes his philosophy, I think, directly from Gary Patterson, who's the defensive coordinator. And guys can say it all the time, right? We're going to play physical. We're going to play smart. We're going to play disciplined football. But when you look at Gary Patterson's defenses, when you look at Paul Gonzalez's coached secondaries, that is how they play football. We'll see how quickly they can. Not that USC was I think that was a misnomer. I think that was a false narrative. They may have not been the most physical and disciplined defense. They certainly had stretches of undiscipline and some bad play, but they weren't egregiously on that level like someone make you believe. But there still needs to be a level of improvement in that area. And so if that's hammering home physical, disciplined defense, that's what they want to play, and that's how they're going to win at USC. You got to love to hear that as a fan, right? And lastly, he kind of just mentioned, I don't know if he wanted to or not, but Christian Pierce apparently did have a surgical procedure in the offseason, so he has not been physically involved. I'm sure he's been around, but physically involved in the offseason workout plan thus far. But he didn't dive into any details, but it didn't sound like it's anything long-term or serious. So hopefully get him back to full speed by spring. But that's your starting safety, and he has been out for now after a surgical procedure.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
All right, wrapping up the defense, Trevon Reed. I don't know a ton I love Trevon Reed. The dude bleeds USC. I think there's a lot of fans, rightfully so, that want to see like former Trojans on staff, people that, or even just former Trojan coaches that know how special this place is, know the tradition that this place is. I think there's definitely some value in that. Now you got to have the right coaches and you got to have the right fit for the current staff. But Trevon Reed checks all those boxes, right? Like he fits this staff, fits what they want. Phenomenal recruiter, huge relationship guy, but he bleeds USC. I mean, just go check out the video that I put up of the jacket, the Letterman jacket he's rocking, the swag that he has, the USC swag. He loves this place. And to him, I don't think when there was all the kind of questions of like, oh, is Henny coming back? Is Belt coming back? What's the defense going to look like? He was the one that was like tweeting on January 2nd, like locked in, we're getting after this. Like, let's go. Like, I'm not going nowhere, essentially. So loves this place. When asked about why he came back, said just that, USC special place. No place I'd rather be. 2, Lincoln Riley. Coach Riley's a special coach. Love working with him. No coach I want to work for. And number 3, couldn't leave his guys. He invests so much into his recruitment of these players and gives them promises of what he's going to give them. And at the end of the day, he could not leave those guys. So love to hear that. 2 other things. Talk about RJ Sermons. I know that's a player a lot of fans are excited about. Said the maturity level. I mean, you think he hasn't even been here a full year. Like he was a late reclassification and joined USC last summer. So this will be his first spring. So hasn't even been here a full year, but said the maturation has gotten there, has like substantially improved, obviously, going from a 16 to 17-year-old kid, still not even, or maybe he's 18 now. So that's a big improvement, and obviously getting healthy and learning the system, what they want. So he was very excited about the prospect of RJ Sermons and what he can come. Very excited about Elbert Hill coming in as a true freshman with the opportunity to push to start as a true freshman. He says he has the ability to play wherever, but they envision him as a true outside corner. Like he came to USC as an outside corner. That's what they envision him as. But if needed, he has the athleticism to play wherever they want in the back end. And then lastly, the 2, these are going to be, barring injury, you're kind of probably 2 starters going into the year. Chasen Johnson said the dude wants to be a first-round pick, and he does first-round things. His training since getting injured has been elite in trying to get back on the field full-time. Special player. Can't wait to see where he goes. And then when we mentioned Jontez Williams, the transfer from Iowa State, his face just lit up. Said he was the best player in the class, so my job was to go get the best player. And I love that Trevon Reed said that, like, I'm going after the best. I'm going to get the best players here. And so he said he's been watching Jontez for a long time, has always valued his game and what he brings. And so when he entered the portal, that was a non-negotiable. Go get Jontez Williams, and he made it happen. And now he has the number 1 corner from the portal at USC. So, things can change. This is fluid. They don't guarantee anyone. But as of now, Jontez Williams and Chasen Johnson, I think, if fully healthy, which both are coming off injuries. That's the one unfortunate thing. But if both can get back to full speed and full health, those will be your probable two starting outside corners, at least, penciled in. You still got Marcellus Williams that started a bunch last year that will battle there. As I mentioned, Albert Hill, RJ Sermons. There's a talented room if they can all get up to speed. So always excitement with Trevon Reed. What are we getting here? 24 minutes. Okay, we're getting up against it. We'll keep it rolling though. Anthony Jones, running back coach. Uh, don't gotta not a huge update here. Wayman Jordan, super self-motivated, back fully healthy. He's in for an elite year. Talked about him and King Miller complementing each other so well. Best friends off the field. They just play the game the right way. They're the right kinds of teammates. When Waymo got hurt, within a week he was already back rehabbing, um, you know, running, trying to get back as quick as possible. But even when not rehabbing himself, he was basically a player coach for King and the other running backs. So just the kind of guys you want. So Wayman and King, I think, have the ability to be two of the best running backs in the Big Ten. And that 1-2 tandem of them is just going to make this offense even that much better. He spoke about Deshaun Rideau, Sean Alston. I've talked about him a ton, so don't kind of give you much more. He didn't say too much different than what I've said. Alston's your big, bruising, productive back. Deshaun Rideau is your kind of little smaller, twitchier, but strong for his size and can really do it all out of the backfield, including catching passes. So a phenomenal 1-2 punch. And they mentioned Riley Worley really came on stronger at the end of the year after battling injury. He got injured back in high school and really had to work his way into it. And we saw some of that flash from Wormley, especially in that UCLA game at the end of the year. So it is just a really deep and good 5 running back room in terms of scholarships. So yeah, we'll leave it. Not a ton more than that. Love Coach Jones though. He's always a good upbeat guy. Coach Simmons, really funny thing. He talked about Coach Gary Patterson, getting to know him. Never worked with him, didn't know him. He said he's much nicer to work with than he was against you. Because he coached against him some. So loves that they're on the same team now and get to know each other. Talked about Tinook Hines and him and Terrell Anderson kind of being the two kind of leaders in that room now. It's a really young room. But he said, in today's college football, you don't get to be a freshman. You don't have time to be a freshman. So regardless if our class is young or not, or our team is young or not, that's just the way college football is. Like when you come in, you're not a freshman. You got to get up to speed quickly and you got to be ready to play quickly. So that is his job. And he has no doubt he'll have those guys ready. And the one of the names that he mentioned that, we've talked a lot about Tinook. We've talked a lot about, talked a lot about Terrell Anderson coming over, and we've talked a lot about this 26 class. But he mentioned Corey Sims as a guy that really continued to get better last year. A freshman last year with Tinook and Ramiro Eisen, really continued to get better. We saw extended reps in the bowl game. And so if he can continue to grow within the system, continue to get on the same page with Jaden Maiava, he's a player I think that can really earn more playing time and can be kind of like the Tinook last year, right? Like Tinook came out of nowhere. No one was expecting Tinook to be, wide receiver 3 starting as a freshman. And we've all kind of penciled all these other guys and the excitement of Feaster and KDW, and for good reason. But Corey Sims, I think, has an opportunity to actually come in and potentially vie for one of those starting outside receiver positions, or at least get a lot of reps. So another talented guy. It's just a talented, young, but talented room. Coach Heward, I'll just be quick on this one. Talked about Jonas Williams, talked about his maturity. Said he is an extremely mature young man for coming in as a true freshman. He's already, learning the system really well, learning how to conduct himself as a leader, learning how to, just be on his own, living on his own, getting used to the coursework and all that stuff that comes with it. But excited to get him on the field. Says he's got all the elite traits that you expect from a quarterback in a Lincoln Riley system. But has been just really impressed by his maturity. And, that's a good thing, because if things go as we think it will, he's got a year before he starts, but that year can go by quick. And then once you're the guy as a redshirt freshman, you hope you're a mature player dealing with that, because there's going to be some adversity. So good to hear. Jaden Maiava, always nothing but good things to say. Says he has taken another step in his leadership. Was obviously a big leader last year. He's always been a quieter guy, but he's seen this spring him take that to even the next level, and really getting to know the new guys and taking them under his wing and meeting a lot off the field and, out of the classroom and out of the film room, and just taking guys under his wing and really unifying the team like you hope your quarterback will. So not saying he didn't do that last year, but I think he was much less kind of vocal and more of a, lead by example, where now he is truly like taking the reins of like, I'm the guy here. This is my team, and I'm going to make sure that we are all together as one with me as the leader of this group. So always good stuff there. Uh, he said one of his quotes is he's team first, team second, team third, team fourth, and team fifth. All he cares about is helping his team win. Doesn't care about any of the individual stuff at all, which I think you can tell if you listen to him, watch him, or anything like that. Coach Hansen talking about the offensive line. Really just kind of two updates here for you. Kenai Pepe is they're planning to start at right tackle, but the goal is always to teach versatility, because as we saw last year, and this is coming from Coach Hansen, like that versatility is very important. So if you can have guys that can play right and left, inside, outside, it makes them available and allows them to get on the field quicker if needed. But the goal is to play Kenai Pepe on the right side at right tackle. And then when asked about the center position, he mentioned obviously Killian O'Connor is kind of the incumbent, but he did say, it's a brand new season. Depth chart is starting over. There is no guaranteed starters. So when it comes to the center position, he mentioned that Tobias Raymond will likely get some reps at center during spring. And part of that is, a lot of people kind of envision Raymond as a center at the next level, at the NFL level. So part of that is, hey, to help his development, to help his game get to the next best spot. But also, if he ends up being your best center, then that gives you the best chance to win, obviously. So they'll rep him there in the spring, see how that goes. But also Brett Colajay, Cannon Smith, both can get reps at center. Willie Washer, obviously. And then also, as I've been saying, Kalen Miller, I see more as a center than a true guard based on his size. So Kalen Miller will get more of those center reps as well. Lastly, Coach Savage, tight ends coach, inside receiver coach, pass game coordinator now with the extra promotion. Kind of three things that he mentioned. One, this isn't really he mentioned, but that inside receiver room and tight room is wide open. And I've said this, I think, just a few days ago. Like, there is no incumbent starter. There's no Mekhi Lemon coming back on the inside. There's no Lake McCree coming back in tight end. So, it's wide open. Whoever's going to take it. And so, obviously, when you look at the talent coming in Mark Bowman and Josiah Jefferson, and you look at the talent coming in and the young guys in the receiver room, there's a lot of talent, but, who's going to seize that spot on the interior or in those positions? He mentioned Mark Bowman really being a full two player. Like, obviously, you're going to develop and get better, but there's nothing he can't do as a true freshman. So extremely excited about his abilities and how much he's already putting in the spring being here. Said his work ethic is off the charts, and he plays like he's a 2-star, not like the top 5-star tight end in the country. And I mean plays like he works, I should say, not plays like it, but works like he's trying to get that pedigree to that level. When talking about I'll just stick with tight ends. So mentioned Tucker Ashcroft, the transfer from Michigan State, just says he's a game changer. He's going to have an immediate impact. When you look at his blocking ability and his leadership ability, like, he's the vet in the room, right? He's new, but he's the vet in the room in terms of age and kind of been there, done that, been in the Big Ten, been a real grinder, like a road grinder in terms of blocking. So he'll have an instant, immediate impact in that tight end room and will be one of these starters from day one, depending on, personnel and scheme packages. And then at the inside room, he told us about the actual, guys that will be playing on the inside, which, let me just pull that up here really fast here. So you'll have Zacharias Williams is transferring kind of from outside receiver to the inside receiver room. Romero Eisen Trent Mosley, Cam Sermons, Seth Zamara, and then the priority walk-on transfer Luke Degner. So that's what your inside receiver room will look like. Really smart, I think, of Zacharias Williams to move over. It was going to be tough, I think, for him to kind of see the field on the outside with the depth there. Not saying there's not depth on the inside, but I think it's a lot more wide open because there's basically zero starts among any of guys. Like, he is the most veteran guy in that room, and he can play anywhere. I think he has the talent to play anywhere on the field. So he'll have his best shot. I think him and Trent Mosley will be your two guys kind of rotating to start for that interior wide receiver room. So a lot of stuff, a lot of names, mouthful. Let me know in the comments your thoughts, but that is my instant reaction to USC Spring Media Day. Like I said, defensive interviews are all up already. Offensive interviews will be up later this evening, so be on the lookout for that. And recruiting news, I'll be talking tomorrow. USC with another commitment. Talk about that tomorrow morning here on the USC LFB channel. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe, family. Appreciate you. Stay tuned for a quick message from our friends over at Sleeper. As always, fight on. Hey, Trojan family, thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers, they've got live stat updates, they've got a chat you can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em, which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose J.D. Mayav in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USCLAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in $10, they'll match you that $10, so now you're sitting at $20 to play with. But also, right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free, go make a deposit, use USC LAFB, and now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family, and when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.